Hey, okay. Let's see. No, not you, Graciela. No. Where did it go? There it is. Get out of here. Okay. Thank you for that. Irene. There we go. Irene's word was punch. Oh man, violent. Okay, before we talk about this, Irene, what was your idea? What is your concept that you're going for?
So what I was going for was the like abuse route, and like kind of like they had just found her, like that's the flashlight pointing towards her kind of thing.
Oh, I see. This is dark. Did you were able to use HDR with this?
Yeah.
Okay. What are your thoughts?
I love the sign in the back, how it's crooked, and the red light. Like it really leads you to thinking like something, like there was a ruckus, like a fight or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the narrative is like very apparent with what signs we're sort of left with, right? What they're signifying. Yeah. It's dark. Yeah, it's heavy. It's like domestic abuse or something like that. It's really dark. What about the color palette? How do you all feel about the color palette?
I love that red light
Mm-hmm.
that's going through through the glass, and how it's also hitting like the door frame on the left hand side.
Yeah.
I like it because it leads my eyes down to what's on the floor.
Yeah. And it's a nice the red and the blues kind of going together really well. And then on the face itself, in Irene, you use makeup.
Yeah, I just used eyeshadow and Big Blood.
Wow, that's really good. And you did it yourself?
Yeah, I did.
Wow. And then this is somebody, a model of or somebody?
It's my sister.
Hey. Yeah, I mean it's a great job, and I applaud you, for putting production value into your photographs. That that really shows, and it's really nice. I would say if I were you, I would just spend a little time cleaning kind of this dust up or whatever on the ground, because I don't think it's adding to your photograph at all. Unless you think, did you leave it there intentionally?
I like thrown stuff on the ground too. Like there was tissues and stuff too, but like just to show that like the whole like fight I guess happened. But I guess I could take it out if there's enough clues in the rest of the photo, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's not enough to like be like to signify like chaos. I feel like you already got it. So my opinion would be to go ahead and just retouch that out and just let it be about the bigger elements.
I think if she wanted to do that, maybe have like chunks of glass on the floor so it's bigger and we can kind of tell what it is. Because right now it does kind of look like just dirt or like you said dust or something. So I think if she wanted to go that way, I would probably do like bigger chunks of glass or something.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, good job. Thank you. Ooh. Oh, you actually put the word in it too. Okay. Is that a real gun, Tiha? No?
Take the fifth.
Do the fifth?
No.
It's like a BB gun or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before all this happened, I went to the gun store and get a gun, but the line was like too long, and all are like like Asian people, so I couldn't even to get in. So I didn't get a real gun. So I bought like BB gun from like I ordered it from Amazon.
Okay. Well, you be careful. Don't carry this BB gun around with you.
No. It's just stay at my home, because I
Okay.
got a lot to, like a lot to lose, take care about. I mean, like, camera stuff and everything. So yeah, I was worried.
Okay. What are your thoughts, everyone? This is loaded. No pun intended.
I like the color scheme.
Yeah. What about it?
Red, white, well, red and blue with
Mhm.
the jacket, the flag, and around. And it kind of looks a little blurry, like motion.
Yeah, it is, because it's a self-portrait, and how hard it is to make HDR with the
No, but it
self-portrait.
looks cool.
17, okay? Because I had to hold like remote thing. I'll show you.
I think it totally works though.
Yeah, it gives it,
And behind behind the gun, I have to like my hands going that, so
yeah,
yeah,
it looks good. I like it.
it happens. Yeah, so it's a remote thing. Yeah,
I feel like if it was in black and white, it would be a lot more
I know.
impactful too. But I do like the color
Yeah.
scheme. Like,
Yeah, you're right.
but I mean, that's just me.
Mm-hmm. And also, indoor with the, not a lot of background with the Asia, it doesn't really work that much, Actually, I wanted to do it outside, but it's crazy. Yeah, I tried, but yeah, it didn't really go well. So.
Yeah. I mean, okay, let me ask you all this. The word conviction is floating above this man's head. There's a gun and a flag, an American flag. What do we all think this is a photo about? Don't say conviction.
No, actually, when I, search in the, the word conviction meaning is like, belief. So, like American, it's like, like it's my belief right here, but, it's also like, give you something. So, I have to like, I don't know, hold it something, Before I thought like, holding like, alcohol beer or something like, like alcohol or something, but it didn't like, intense that much. So I don't know. It's I tried many things.
Okay. Well, it's fine. I mean, you put it out there, so let's talk about it. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear from you all though. I mean, what are you thinking? Is this a critique on, American culture, gun culture?
I think so. I think it's a bit of a kind of like the on a racial profiling. Like,
Yeah. Because again, we're getting back into this idea, like, not to get too conceptual, because this is a Photoshop class, but the man in a hoodie, right? That is sort of that's a sign, right? Not a sign of like the times in that way, but a sign in that, like, when you look at it, for some people it signifies something, right? So when you see a man in a hoodie and a gun and a flag, for me that's like automatically going into like that territory of like racial profiling or police brutality or something like that. There's that aspect, but then the word conviction, the way it's floating up above this person's head, makes me feel like this person really believes in their Second Amendment right? But also because of these like playful colors, I wonder if it's saying, I wonder if they feel like, if they feel the actual opposite of my phone literally just told me that Canada 3 minutes ago, Canada bans assault style weapons. So it makes me think like maybe that's where this person's saying it. Maybe they're being critical of it. Maybe the fact that it's a BB gun and not a real gun, right? Or it's something that cannot kill you. But you know, we also don't know that it's a BB gun unless the artist told us. So this is what I mean. It's a very loaded sort of topic, and I wonder, you know, Tiha, you have, you know, you put it out there, and that's cool. But for us as viewers, you know, it is our job to sort of dissect it and figure out how it's resonating with all of us. So I'd like to hear somebody else. Yeah.
The movement in the gun also adds to the picture. I think it would be a different picture if it was all clear, all in focus.
Yeah, I agree. I would say though, Tiha, like this is, I applaud your effort. My issue with it is two things. I don't think that the HDR is necessary for this image.
Yeah.
Especially if you have the ability to light it. Like HDR really sings really well when you have like extreme contrast, right? And so like your ability to light it, you know, is probably make it so that it's not necessary. And in saying that, like, you know, like this little thing that's happening right here, like that, you need to fix that, right? And then the other thing is, I would just get rid of the word conviction at the top. I don't think that it's that thing where you're just hitting us over the head with your concept. And though I like your graphic design, I don't, you know, I feel like there's conviction in this person, right? This person, they have conviction. So it's good. It's good. But you know, I don't know that you were necessarily thinking a lot about these like concepts or whatever and putting it out there. And it's, you know, especially I would advise, you know, using such strong sort of icons, mixing such strong icons together, the flag, the gun, the hoodie, those are really strong elements and really striking, you know, and so, you know, I would say, by no means am I saying it's wrong, but I would say you really want to make sure that what you're putting out there in the world, you're sort of tight. You know what you're doing. You know why. You know how. Okay.
Yeah.
But good job. Good production value.
Yeah. I think I would just replace it. Is that okay? Replace, you know, whatever, you know, after I clean up. Is that okay?
I mean, if you want, yeah, but you could also just move on. You know, I don't want you all to like get stuck on any one assignment. I'd rather you move on to the next assignment. Oh, sure. But if you really want to redo it or whatever, you absolutely may. Sure. Cool. Thank you, Tia. All right. There we go. Cool. Thoughts?
Super cool. I love the halfway point.
Oh, should we talk about the word? I'll tell you, man, his word was established.
That makes a lot of sense.
I could see it.
Well, how does it make sense?
Because, you know, when there's deep roots, that means that it's taken a long time to grow, and it has already made a firm position in the soil.
Great.
I thought it was kind of like, because it looks like it's a church, so I'm guessing the churches are really well at establishing into your life somehow, and they build a root system to connect to more people, to establish their church into your life more.
Okay.
Is that like a little heart stone at the bottom?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is an image that is it, I mean, I took it, you know, I'm thinking about it more as like the church as an establishment, right? Which I find very interesting. I think, and you use the HDR because obviously because that highlight on the church you would have lost completely, right?
Yes, I did. And also a detail on the left-hand side, the Lincoln House. There was some detail in the shadows that I was able to get.
Great. Yeah. I mean, I think HDR, this is like a perfect image for HDR also because like the architecture is light, white. So it has a tendency to blow out right away and sort of maintaining that detail. Do you all feel like this is this person has positive feelings towards this church? Yeah. Okay, cool. We'll have to find out in a second. Yeah. Anything else? I mean, I think you really nailed it with the established or establishment or whatever. But I do want to hear your thoughts on what we're looking at.
Okay, so what I first did was looked up the word established and what it meant. And there's actually two definitions according to Webster's Dictionary. So the first one is having been in existence for a long time and therefore recognized and generally accepted. And the second one is of a church or religion that's recognized by the government as the national church or religion. So I kind of took both of those and incorporated it. There's actually a lot of symbolism. So first of all, this church, it's the Intercommunity Church of God. There's actually a service at 11 o'clock and the pastor is deaf and blind.
Whoa.
And his congregation is deaf. And I really liked the building and the shape and how traditional looking it is compared to the more modern buildings on the left and right hand side. And so I took that first definition of how it's been there so long that it's generally accepted, because I mean it has a bar and restaurant next to it and a pet grooming and a camera shop right next to it as well. So I think because it's been there so long, it's just generally accepted. And I think the same thing goes for deaf people. Like we don't notice a lot of time, but they've just been here for so long that it's just generally accepted by everybody in that society. And then another thing, in the Christian Bible, there's a lot of symbolism about the rock and how Jesus is the rock of your faith and foundation, and how and God is also love, and that's where the church should be rooted from, and it should be showing that into the community and what's around them. And so even though people may pass by and not really think about it, beneath what's really happening is that's where the root of everything should be. It should be of love and reaching out to the people, not only just people that we think in general as who are able to hear, but also to the deaf community and also the deaf and blind community.
Okay. How do you all feel now? You got 2 thumbs up from Erica.
Thanks.
Oh, 2 more thumbs up. Oh, Ivy gave you a thumbs up. I think as soon as you talked about symbolism, I started looking through it, and man, there's 2 American flags. There's the crucifix at the top of the what is that called?
Steeple.
People, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these signs over to the right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the heart obviously underneath it. It's and then the actual just signage, right, in itself really is like, you know, they sort of like symbolize a lot. And then it is interesting that it's next door to a bar and grill. That's
Yeah.
Funny juxtaposition. That's Powell, the camera store,
Yeah. Powell's Camera Shop.
in Covina.
Hmm.
Cool.
It's funny that you were mentioning Google Earth. That's what I did. I made sure to Google like what does it look like around there? Is there something across the street where I can stand and take the pictures?
You know what
What's
that's
next
called?
door?
You know what you did? That's location scouting.
Location scouting.
You location
Digitally.
scouting.
Yeah. So I thought that was funny you guys mentioned that. That's exactly what I did. And not only that, but Google also shows you the traffic because I knew I was going to be across the street. I wanted to know what the traffic looked like. And it's cool because it shows you like normally, typically it's very busy, but because we're all staying at home, the traffic was all green. So
Wow.
I just had my mom with me and she would just tell me when a car was coming or not. And so that's what I did.
Wow. You had your mom as an assistant. That's cool.
Yeah. She's usually my assistant when I go out for jobs.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, anybody? Great job. Great work. I can see your sort of commitment to production value and creating a nice image. So good job. Thank you.
Thanks.
For
Yeah.
putting in the effort. All right. This is Robin's. Can you all see it? So Robin, were you able to HDR this image?
Yeah, it looked a lot better before I imported it. I don't know if it flattened it a bit, but there was a lot more detail in the shadows.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. But I'm assuming within that shadow detail is just like the detail of the floor, right?
Yeah.
We're not missing like some, okay.
No.
And Robin's word was beg. Did you use the word beg as a jumping off point? Okay, cool.
I did.
What are your thoughts, everyone? Robin, you're so consistent with your palette. I love it.
It's kind of weird. When all the pictures were warm. All my pictures are usually warm. But when I merged them, it kind of went green.
Oh,
So I had to add a lot of that pink back in. But it came out a little rosier than I thought. So I just kind of went with the theme of like rose tinted glasses.
Nice. So I feel like this is interesting to point out, but I feel like with a couple exceptions, the images of domestic space are increasingly getting darker, thematically darker, not visually darker, but thematically darker. And I feel like that's really interesting as we all start to, you know, really struggle with this, whatever this is right now that we're going through. That is interesting.
I know that there has been a rise in domestic violence and
Yeah.
also child sexual abuse. And there's been a lot of rise in that because we are all home.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom works at a courthouse and they have to drop off their files in a basket up front. So she has to bring them in and she sees a lot of like restraining orders and custody cases.
Man. That's a real dark side to all this, huh? Okay. Well, let's talk about this. Let's talk about it conceptually. What do you all think? It's, you know, what do we have here? Let's start with that. This is called doing a cold read, by the way, in a crit, when you just literally just describe what it is that you're seeing in front of you.
The way that her feet are positioned, it's almost like you can tell that she's looking down at the plates and thinking something just happened for the plates to break. And I'm assuming like the beg portion is like, since we know that, it's kind of like someone gave something to someone else and then broke the plate. You know, you're just trying to make like a story to it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, for myself, like, you know, this almost does not seem as if something fell on the ground and shattered. It almost feels placed. You know what I mean? It almost feels intentionally like the artist is saying, you know, taking these pieces and like displaying them to us. And then these legs, you know, they're very interesting. Like they're really like interesting looking legs and feet, you know, and that like sort of like the veins are sort of the veins in the legs and the lines inside the ceramic, and then the lines in the ground, right? They're all sort of this repeating idea. Yeah, this element that's being repeated. But yeah, I'm interested to hear what the concept is from Robin. I mean, visually, it's pretty striking, right? It's really great. But yeah, Robin, why don't you hook us up with a little context here?
All right. Well, kind of played like a correlation game and eventually got to it. But it's kind of about the shittier parts of my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was an alcoholic, so it was kind of just like constantly begging him to stop, and then knowing that at the end of the night, regardless of if he did or not, we'd be there to pick up the pieces, metaphorically and physically.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What do you all think now that we kind of have some context for it? Yeah, I mean, it's a tough thing to talk about, but it's, you know, in using, you know, sort of like autobiographical sort of jumping off points is really it's really heavy and deep, and it's always hard to do, and I feel like you really did it well right here. I feel, you know, oh, sorry, 1 second.
Postmates. I like the feet like a lot. I love how they're stanced. I just think that gives me a lot to look at, and it's like I said, it feels like the person's looking down and like, like dang, you know.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I got from the feet position.
Yeah, I kind of gave her the direction of just like, because she lived it as well as my mother's feet. Just the direction of like, oh, again.
Yeah, I feel that, like, hardcore.
Did your mom know about your concept?
Oh yeah, I mean, she lived it, so.
Wow. Yeah, that's I mean, I applaud you for going down that path. That's a really hard thing to do. And do, you know, I'm gonna tread lightly here, but like not a lot of times, but sometimes when people pull from like a dark past or something like that, or something traumatic happening, sometimes there's so much connection to that thing or that incident or that, you know, that sometimes it doesn't really work out as an image, right? Or doesn't, you know, you don't get that sort of message. And I feel like I feel like you successfully pulled from your past, and you still made a striking image. You still made an image that we all want to look at and sort of continue to dissect and feel and unpack. So really, really great job, Robin. Thank you for that. How was this process for you?
I mean, well, I guess on a even darker note, one of my problems with handling stress is disassociating. So I think I can step aside from the emotional and just kind of take it in.
Yeah.
Which isn't good for coping, but it's decent for conveying an image.
It's decent for being an artist. All right. Well, good job. Thank you for, you know, thank you for digging deep and doing that. That was really nice. Thank you. Right. Okay. I don't have any more. I think that was everybody except for my.
Oh wait, can you refresh it? I turned it in. I think it's at the end. Yeah. So I did 2, but the first one, I think I put too many pictures together, and then the second one was the same location. But I think I'm gonna reshoot just because I don't like them. But I really like the shadows that we're casting off. I just had a really short tripod, so my angles were limited.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And your word was, oh, you didn't use words.
Yeah, I forgot.
No, it's okay. Which let's start with this first one, this structure. What do you all think? I mean, for me, it's like an image about like this like sort of architectural space, and sort of like the two colors are really like really strange together, and also the structure itself is pretty strange. I feel like the fact that it's like transparent or something like that, I think is really interesting and like really striking. I feel like this architect could use this photo in their portfolio. Right?
Thank you.
Yeah. So in saying that, like that is something that's very successful to me. Like if you're, you know, basically we're saying like it's like a commercial image, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
your
one thing
intention was
too.
to make it look cool. Go for it.
I was realizing that I was playing a lot with the white balance, and I kind of took this photo in different white balance, and you know, like the orange in the ground showed more than the blue. So yeah, that's like what really drew me to that is the lights, the lights going onto the concrete, and then the lights on the structure itself.
Yeah.
And the way that they were lighting up the trees, I thought that'd be interesting to get.
Yeah, this sort of moment right here is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And then what about this one? Can you talk to me about this one? What it is? Did you make this black and white, or is it got color in it?
No, that has like a hinge of blue from the lights in the parking structure, because on the upper right hand corner, it's a parking structure that's 2 levels. So there was light flowing through that way. And there was a lot of cool shadows, but I just couldn't hold my camera to get like HDR shots of the shadows. But I like the tinge of orange on the, I don't know what that's called, like on the gate.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought there's a lot of texture in the ground that can kind of lead your eyes to the orange and the shadows.
Okay. So what are your thoughts, everyone, on this image? I see a bunch of heads turning.
Yeah, I had the camera really angled weird, so that's why it's kind of a little...
I like it. I don't know, something about like, to me personally, it's like, it's simple but pleasing to look at. Just like makes you, because if it was straight, you'd be like, oh, okay, it's a street. But since it's angled, you look at stuff a little bit longer.
Okay, cool.
It's kind of making me feel dazed.
Yeah, there is something about it that's sort of disorienting, right? And the shadows to me also very disorienting. Yeah. You know, at first I feel like I wasn't really responding to the angle, but the more I'm sort of sitting with it, and just like kind of, I think what I would say is like this area right here is probably like too much information or something, right? And when I kind of don't pay attention to that and I just pay attention to these shadows, then I'm really sort of living with this more than whatever is going on up here. Like up here is like competing with it and it's not helping it, in my opinion. But yeah, it's interesting the disorienting way that you've sort of presented this, and you know, and all this like structure, like, you know, iron and cement, like these materials are, you know, really hard sort of construction materials, and these shadows are just so strange. And I see why responding to the shadows is important to you, and the HDR really worked out. So this amount of detail is really nice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm always I try to photograph really low to the ground. I'll even lay down. So I try to always have like a low angle to experiment and then work my way up at kind of like a curve when I'm just shooting normally, not HDR. But I think I've realized that I do appreciate architecture and textures in architecture a lot more. And I like to make things kind of like an optical illusion where you have to kind of turn your head and look a little bit further. You know?
Right. I think it's successful.
Thank you.
Good job. Cool. Thank you. Anything else? No. Okay. Good job. Let me go over here. So, Joel, were you able to get yours loaded?
Yes.
Discussion.
Okay. Hey, cool. So Howard has transition. Oh, beautiful.
I love it. It's so cute.
Thoughts?
Howard, is that young people in the forefront, and then older, the couples 50 years together on the back part?
Yeah.
I didn't catch that last night. Okay, nice.
Yeah. It's a whole narrative within one image, a whole lifetime together.
Did he use the word?
Yeah. Transition.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Where, just want to ask, did you use HDR in this photo?
Yes, I shot the Pakistan structure. I use 3 stops brighter and 3 stops darker.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. That's cool. That's perfect.
Yeah. My concept just as Joe said, I use the hand gesture to symbolize a young couple because the engagement ring on her finger. So it shows the young couple, and I use the parallel beams to express the like a time channel from now to from young to old. It's a timeline like that concept.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like this is one moment, this is another moment, and then everything in between is the whole life.
Yeah.
You know, that's where I'm getting.
Yeah.
My only thing to you is that I would have used the pen tool to cut this out, because you know, I can see the shape of the circle when you're removing the hands out.
Yeah, I think it's
Sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear these kids outside my house. What were you gonna say, Howard?
I think it's the resolution of the photo.
Is it?
Oh, I see.
I can see the curve,
Okay.
right? So I would just say, try to figure out how to use that pen tool a little more. That will
Mhm.
really help you. Because when you start to use this, did you mask it out? Is that what you did?
Hmm.
Yeah. So when you mask it and you're just using a brush that's a circle, you're always going to get a curve. Even if you make it no matter how small you make it, you're going to get a curve. So the pen tool will let you create paths, and you can curve the line to the curvature of the finger. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but good job. This is a great concept. I think you really hit a home run there. So good job. Thank you. All right. And here we go. Oh man. Here we go. So oh yeah. You had a fox.
Yes.
Nice. Make it just a little bit bigger. Can you all see it? Well, first off, the HDR worked pretty well in this image, huh?
Yes.
And the detail we got right here. You still got detail right here. Good job. Exactly kind of instance HDR works out well.
I was lucky to find the cloud and the sunset with the fox look to it.
We found it. I found it immediately. What do you all think about that?
Actually, Joe got
Yeah.
two words. The first word is fox, and then he selected electron, but I think he combined two words together.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I did found the image. I think there are 4.9. From the image, I look like a two plate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, two flat plates like a electric field.
Yeah.
To discharge the gas
That's
to
funny.
produce the fox. So you use the electron transition to produce the light of the fox.
Nice. Nice. I like that. See, different reads, man. That's really cool. Joel, can you tell us what you were going for here? Give us some context.
Both words I found to be difficult,
Yeah.
and in a limited world that we're in,
Mhm.
and so it had to go somewhat a bit out there, and I was playing with in Photoshop. Let's see what it's called. In the layers and where it's got normal, and then you play with some of the different colors there.
You're talking about the blending mode, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
To get the fox, and it's a sunset. It's a little late for the sunset, but the sun is right there.
Well, the fact that these windows are reflecting the same,
Right.
I think it's really working.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. I like this idea of like this fox in the sky. I think it's strange and really cool. I also find it strange that there's a police car in the foreground. I'm sort of like, why is there a police car in the foreground?
Yeah.
But it's like a weird neighborhood scene with a fox in the sky. It's cool. I think thematically it really kind of goes with what you turned in last week as well.
Right.
I like where you're going with your concepts.
Thank you.
Anything else anybody wants to add? Joel, I mean, how do you feel about it, Joel?
I like it. I liked how it turned out. I like the blending mode was.
Yeah.
So from a project standpoint, and helping us learn, it was great to explore that.
Great. Love to hear that. I would say one little stupid little thing I would do.
Yeah.
Maybe just when you're shooting, just watch this tangent right here. Give that police car just a little bit more space.
Oh, okay.
And then
I did cut it. I did crop it. So
Yeah.
that's interesting. So
yeah, I mean, see
I
if you
went right up to the car. You're saying give it a little more space?
just, yeah, because what happens is when you put something right on the edge like that and it sort of crosses the line,
Yeah.
tangent it, and it pulls your viewer's eye off of the page a little bit.
Okay.
It's just a compositional thing, and I would almost even just remove this stuff.
Okay.
You know, like I don't think it's helping necessarily.
Right. Good point. Good
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
But yeah, that's great. It's a great photo. I'm glad you did it. I would also might even argue to say that it's a little dark. Like the whole.
No, I'm
shoot-
looking at, I have two screens. I'm looking at what you have posted
Mm,
and what I have that I submitted, and it's more vibrant, what I
Yeah.
submitted.
That's strange. That's strange. I mean, it's not strange. It's different monitor. You know, the way
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
on my monitor is going to be different than how it looks on TV.
If I shared the screen, would I be able to?
Sure. Try it out. Oh, I got to stop sharing mine. Go for it.
I don't know what you guys see.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
see Lightroom or I mean Photoshop?
Yep. Yeah, this crop is even better. See,
Yeah,
this tree
yeah.
doesn't bother me now.
Yeah.
Very cool. Cool. Good job, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do you want to see those other images?
Sure.
Yeah. What are you going to say, right? No.
No, I don't want to see it.
That image also reminded me of that song. What does the fox say?
Hey. My nephew was real into that.
That's a great song, by the way.
It's a real banger.
So the drone we can legally fly up to 400 feet up. And this is looking basically straight down.
Yeah, great. You know, even though there's a lot of people in it still, I feel like it's very strange how spread out they are.
Yeah. They did a good job on the beach spreading out. Yeah.
But I mean, like as a sort of like contextual image.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because it really said, you know, as soon as we know, like, oh, this image is shot when people were supposed to be maintaining social distance. Like, look at that. That's so strange. It's really great. This is really great photos.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, the drone does a great job.
Yeah, look at those colors in the water too. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that maintaining of social distance is very weird. Really cool. I wouldn't remove them, but that's me.
No, you're right. You're right. Now that you mention that, you know, I was stuck on the idea of getting an empty beach, but you know, 5 years from now, we'll look at this and go, wow,
Yeah, remember
that's
that
pretty
time?
cool.
Yeah. Wow. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So I'm okay. So the next assignment is a black and white assignment, right? Okay. What I'm gonna do with I'm gonna only lecture for another 30 minutes, and then I want you guys to spend the rest of the time working on your black and white assignment. Can somebody tell me what the parameters of the black and white assignment is? Did I ever post it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, you did it.
I am so failing right now.
Yeah, I'm like, this is the first time I'm hearing it, kind of.
Okay. Okay. I haven't posted it. Okay. So the black and white assignment, geez, here, give me a second. Let me read it to you. Okay, so so I'll just read you what I have written. The objective of this assignment is to create 3 cinematic photographs in black and white. You'll create a narrative within these photographs. You may shoot this as a documentary piece or a conceptual piece. The use of black and white should enhance the narrative. You should be able to convey a story within your images. Things I want you to consider are light, motion, angle, composition, burning, dodging, contrast, and then, you know, some of the techniques that we've learned about, the HDR, compositing, all those things, okay? Now, what I normally do with this assignment is it's all about the print, creating these perfect, beautiful black and white prints from the inkjet printer and making sure that they're neutral. But since we can't really do that, what I would like to do is I'd like you to present the images on one canvas. Does that make sense? I don't want 3 separate images. I want one image, one canvas, you know, like say white, and the 3 photos on white. Does that make sense? I'll give you an example, or I'll show you the example of what I mean in a second. Okay, so that's your assignment. Okay, I was gonna make it due next week, but since I didn't, is a week enough time for you all, or would you need 2 weeks for this? 2 weeks? I'm gonna give you 2 weeks because Amanda gave me a look, and because she has her camera on, I know. Okay, I'll give you 2 weeks. And then we'll move on to color images next week. But so black and white. Give me 1 second here. Find Lightroom. Okay. Hello. Can you all see my screen? Okay. So I imported this image into Lightroom. It's sort of this like bigger landscape, sort of LA River. Everybody's seen this kind of photo before. And obviously, you know, I don't want to go too much into Lightroom, but you know, if you go over to the develop tab, I bought some of those presets to show you all some of those plugins. I haven't really figured out if does somebody have Lightroom open? Joel, do you have Lightroom open? Anybody?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I was talking. Yeah.
No problem. Under your presets, do you have these same presets? If you open and develop?
Yeah, color, creative, black and white, and then under black and white, there's maybe 10 or 12.
Okay. Yeah. So I have to load in the presets somehow. I didn't do that yet. But I mean, even in here, it's not bad, right? You can kind of toggle through these different presets and see your images. Oh wow, my sensor is so dirty. Can you guys see? Can you guys see all the dust on my sensor? See it right there? You see all those dots? That's all dust on my sensor. So keep an eye on for things like that. I have to spend some time retouching that out. But it's cool to hover just over these and just see what different presets end up looking like, right? And then we have the infrared selenium tone, so it's got a cool tone to it. Sepia tone we talked about last week, and then split tone, right? These are just presets though. These are, you know, I would always say like, kind of go through these maybe and just see like a good starting off point. For me, this low contrast works, right? The low contrast works, and then we can come over here to grain. We can add some grain to it. Here, I'll add heavy grain so we can see it. There's heavy grain with it and heavy grain without it. Do you all see the grain? So let's just be obnoxious. Heavy grain, flat, dark, flat, moody image, okay? And then from there, you can still make some adjustments, right? If you want, and just kind of open up the shadows maybe a little bit because it's got a little too dark, whatever you want, okay? But what I wanted to show you all is I'm gonna open this, render using Lightroom. I'm gonna open this in Photoshop and I'll show you how to sort of lay these things out. And then I'll show you one other thing that I want. One second. All right. So I'm gonna have to minimize you all. So if I can't see you raise your hand or anything, so just say something if you're trying to talk to me, okay? All right, so here's my image. It's 27.5 inches by 18 and 18.34. That's a big.
I can only see your Lightroom.
You can't see my Photoshop?
No.
Huh. Bizarre. One second. What about now?
Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay. This is Photoshop. Okay, so the thing that the little technique that I wanted to show you guys is something that I used a lot when I was going to Art Center, and it was because I really enjoyed this process in the darkroom called lith printing. It has this certain look to it, and I always wanted to be able to make sure that I could recreate it in Photoshop. And you don't have to do this by any means, but I just thought, you know, last week Joel expressed liking how to see how other people might do some creative things. So what I do is, you know, Command J always to create a new background layer. I'll go here to channels. If you have a black and white image, you'll see that all three channels are turned on and your RGB is turned on, right? But if I go here and I start turning channels off, right? The red channel got turned off, so all that's left is the green and the blue. Well, I turn off the green channel and you'll see it's a black and white image. If you change it, it's actually gonna only stay this way, this same flat image because there was no color from bringing it out of Lightroom. Let's see here, I'll show you another example. Let's see. Oh, we had that color image, yeah. Okay, remember this image?
Yeah.
Okay. I can turn off the RGB, right? Or I can turn off the different channels and you can start seeing what, if just that one channel is showing, you can see the different sort of looks that the channels are giving you. So like channel, what is this, channel 4? So channel 3 will look like that. Channel 5 looks like that. You know, it's a good way. I mean, I would never say to like turn off your channels and work on your image that way, but it's just getting a good gauge of like how images look in different sort of levels of contrast, right? This is a good way to just kind of toggle through. Now, I'm going to turn my RGB on. I'm going to come back here. RGB is on, right? I have a background layer copy. What I'm going to do is come down here, and we're going to load channel as selection. And what it's going to do is it's going to select all your sort of darker points, or your highlights in your image. Okay. And the reason I want to do that is I'm going to come back over here to my layers, and I'm going to invert it, Shift Command I, or come up here to select, and you can inverse right there. Okay. And watch what happens. So I'm going to come over here to my hue and saturation. And down here at the bottom, there's this box that says colorize. I select colorize. I'm going to change this. I think it's to about 50. change it to about 50, okay? I'm sorry, not that. Up here, change this to about 50, okay? And then we'll go back down to 25 with that. Now you see that it's taking those sort of midtones and shadows because I inversed it. And now I can sort of add this like olive tint to my image, right? And we can add more, we can make it cooler, we can make it, you know, a little more red, however you want. But I, you know, personally for my taste, for what I like to do, I would make it about 50 right there, okay? Next, what I would do is I would, like Joel was doing earlier, I would play with the blending mode, and I normally take it to overlay. So when I do like that, this is what my image ends up looking like. And this sort of falls in line with how my work looked in the darkroom. And that was sort of the reason why I used that heavy grain, was just so we could really start to see how the image changes. Do you guys all see that? So that's one method of sort of creating a black and white, but that has a tone to it or a tint. And again, you can always even manipulate this further and bring down the opacity, right? If you decide it's too much and you just want a little tint to it, there's that possibility as well. Okay. So what I also wanted to show you all, and you'll see, like, take a look at this mask. Not a bad mask, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really precise, it's really cool, and it really helps. And you could even do some split toning like that. So I could do it like that, come back here to channels, do the select again, but this time come back here, and instead of inversing it, I'll leave it the way it was. And then I can do hue and saturation again, colorize it, change this, I don't know, let's make it a cooler tone. Bring down the saturation a little bit, right? Change the blending mode to overlay, right? So we have a cooler tone mixed with our warmer tone, and you have like a really nice looking black and white image that has a tone or a tint to it. You know, maybe we turn this back up, and now it's a little contrasty, but we can even deal with the contrast afterwards. If we wanted to, we can flatten it out with a curves, not exposure, with a curves layer. Something like that. Okay. And again, this is a pretty large file size. I can make a really nice big print from this if I wanted to. Okay. All right. Okay, so last thing I wanted to show you, let's see, we've got this open. I'm gonna just convert this to a black and white image. Something like that, just so we can really see it. And then I need to open one more image. Oh, that's that surfer guy. Let's give him a preset under develop. Let's go low contrast again, flat. No, low contrast. Okay. Let's add some heavy grain again. I'm gonna open it up, Command E. I have to update my Photoshop. But Command E is gonna open this image up in Photoshop, maybe eventually. It's a stampede of children outside my house again. All right. So I have my 3 images open, okay? What I can do is from here, if I'm utilizing all the things I'm learning in class, let's make an action. Actually, let's do the action on this image is fine, okay? And I'm gonna record this new action. I'll call it black and white, set up. Okay. I'm gonna record my action, and all I want to do is I want to flatten my image. Okay, there it goes. I'm going to change my image size to the width. I'm going to make it, I don't know, 10 inches. Okay, and then hit OK. There we go. So I'm gonna stop that. I'm gonna go ahead and automate, run batch, and I'm gonna run that action over the open files, which is fine, which is the other two files, right? So now all my images are flattened and they're the same size, right? Close this, close this. Now the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open a new file, okay? Actually, let's not do that. Let's do this. Let's say that this image, I'm gonna use this image in the, let's do it like this. I'm gonna select all, okay? I'm gonna copy, Command C, okay? And now I have 3 horizontal images that are 10 inches, which equals 30 inches. So if I say I want an inch border between all 3 images, you're gonna have 2. So we're gonna have to add 4 inches. So 34 inches. Okay, so select all, copy. I'm gonna change the canvas size to width is gonna be 34 inches. And I'm gonna make sure that it's white. I'm gonna hit OK, and there's 34 inches, okay? The reason I selected all and copied is now I can fill this in with white, just right over the top of that. And I'm gonna paste that image right back on top. It's gonna go right back into the exact same spot. Does anybody have an idea of why I did that? No idea? Okay.
Is
The
it so you can
reason I
move
did
it?
that is now when I go to my move tool, V, I can move, oh, that's your lasso, V. There we go. And I have auto select turned on. I can move this image, okay? So I can decide if this image belongs in the center or not. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come over here to this image. I'm gonna select all, copy. I'm gonna come over, back over here, and I'm gonna paste it over the top. And then I'm gonna grab this one, select all, copy, come over here, paste it over the top. Now, with Move Tool, I can move these images, okay? And I can decide, and I might even like, because I know that I made it so that it's perfectly, it should perfectly fit, I can go over here to 33 inches on my ruler and 1 inch over here. And I know that the image has to fit within here. And if the image fits within here, then I know that the borders are exactly the same, okay? So let's say I don't want this one in the center. Let's say I want it over here. I'll slide this over here. I'll put this image in the center, something like that, perfect. Okay? Do you all see that? So now I can start to paginate. I can lay my images out, okay? And let's say that I'm good with this. This is where I want to take it. I can go canvas size again, right? And let's add an inch to the top and the bottom. So relative, what do I put right here on height?
2.
2, good job. 2, there it is. Now I have my image. Now what I need to do is flatten it again, because it's got layers now. And then I'll save this, Command S, save, Option Command S for save as. I'll save it to my black and white folder. You know, I don't know, documentary, oops. Final. I know that there's a naming convention. I forget, but and you can save it now. If you want to save it with the layers, make sure you save it as a TIFF, obviously. But to turn something in, you need to save it as a JPEG. Okay, so come over here, change it to JPEG, so on and so forth. Oh, we'll change it. Documentary final. Okay, save it as a JPEG, save. And then that JPEG is what you would ultimately end up turning in, so it looks like this. Now, it doesn't have to be horizontal by any means, okay? The other thing you can do is, you know, you can make it, I don't know, let's add 10 inches to the top and bottom, right? And because I still have my layers, I can take my move tool, oops, and we can sort of do something that's more design based if we want, right? I would love for you to do that. You know, something like that. And if that's something you like, you can even come back here with your crop tool, just crop it out. And there you go. Change my background to black. Get rid of my guides. I can't get rid of it right now. But yeah, something like that. If you want to do whatever you want to do, however works for your images. I just want you all to sort of start experimenting with these different ways of converting to black and white. Now, because we cannot print, I really want to focus also in on this sort of graphic design element of it, and just figuring out and getting good at using Photoshop to move your images around, to sort of play with them on one canvas to see what level of pagination works. Maybe it's that straight bar across and it's real formal like photo. Maybe it's you know, maybe you can use transform, Command T, and maybe you want this one image to be, you know, I don't know, on its side, something like that, you know, whatever works for you. But I really want you to experiment with this to sort of figure out what works best for your images. Maybe again, like I said, maybe it's just formal. Maybe your background is not white. Maybe it's purple. I don't know. You know, to do that, come over here to the background, select your foreground color, purple. Okay, Option Delete on your keyboard. Maybe it's something like this. Anyways, we're getting, I don't know, we're getting to a weird place here now, but you guys get my drift, I think, right? Yeah. So whatever is working for your image, but you know, you have, since I'm giving you 2 weeks to shoot 3 photos that are, you're ultimately just converting to black and white and spending some time laying out, you know, really experiment and really like push that idea of you know, of layout and seeing how your images work. Now, it could be more than 3 if you feel like it needs to be more than 3, but it has to be a minimum of 3, and it has to sort of tell a story. I mean, these sort of go along with each other in some sort of, that I didn't shoot them together. They're not conceptually supposed to be together or anything like that, but they kind of worked. But you guys get my point, right? Like, figure out some kind of cinematic narrative that you want to go after. At this point too, I always kind of suggest a movie or something. Does everybody have access to Netflix? No? Okay.
Yes.
Some of you do. Okay. I'll post a clip. How many of you seen Roma?
Yes.
A couple of you seen Roma. Okay, so for those of you who, you know, everybody should just go. I'll post a clip that sort of like that sort of takes a lot of the pretty legendary scenes and you know, the director is really amazing, and he was also the director of photography for the film, so he was in charge of how it looked, and you can really see some really great cinematic black and white in that film, and I highly suggest you go see it if you can. It's on Netflix. Obviously, it's a Netflix film, but if you don't have access, I'll just post a YouTube clip for you. Okay, cool. I'm all talked out. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'll post the assignment by the end of the day.
So I had, it's funny, I was actually gonna do, you had mentioned about the final last week about maybe doing something kind of similar. I don't know if I misunderstood, but this is actually what I had in mind, was doing a black and white series.
Great.
Documentary for a friend. So I don't know if I should do that for this project or should I hold that for the final?
You can do it both. There's no reason why you can't use this also towards your final. I usually yeah, you can use these images if you shoot them for this assignment. You can also use it towards your final. Okay.
Okay, cool.
Cool. And I'll also post about the final too. That's kind of evolving. I found out ANI is not making books, so so we might have to go through Blurb if we're going to make a book. But I also might just have you all just do your own book, because I think you all are making really great images, and maybe we'll make a class book together. But I think the final is just going to be your own book that you produce yourselves. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and I mean, but that's not to say I'm not going to create a class book so that you guys can, if you guys want that as well.
Yeah, I would actually love if you guys all don't mind putting a book together, and I would love to have one just as a memory, a keepsake for later.
Yeah.
It's like a yearbook, but a class book.
Yeah, a project book. Yeah.
Is it gonna be a digital book, I guess, or
No,
printed?
You'll get a. I mean, there will be a PDF version of it, yes, but you just have to pay for it. But yeah, you'll have a tangible book sent to you.
Okay. Sweet.
But yeah, obviously, like, I won't have it, so I'll have to see your PDF.
There's this photographer that I've been following, and he does a lot of street photography, and he mentioned that he made a little tiny pocket-sized flip book of his photos when people, kind of get upset at him for taking pictures. So I was thinking that might be something really cool too. I don't know.
I mean, there's so many options when you start getting into book creation, because that's a whole medium in itself.
Mm-hmm.
But this assignment is where I want you to start practicing layouts and pagination and images next to each other and how they work, and when you have a narrative, especially. Okay.
So kind of like editorial in a sense.
No, not editorial. I mean, it can
Like,
be editorial.
do you know what I mean? Like everything kind of flows consecutively. Like
No,
this.
because even outside, like, editorial is very specific, right? But like even fine art photographers, who just deal with prints or whatever, what print hangs on the wall next to what print is important. Spacing is important. All that really, when you start to sort of train your eye to see that, all that becomes really important. So editorial, it is very important in editorial, but that's a very narrow just facet of it. It's all encompassing, I think.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Gotcha.
All right. I have to run to another meeting right now. So if you have any questions, my meeting's only an hour long, but if you need to hop back on Zoom, obviously email me and we'll hop back on Zoom. Otherwise, keep an eye out for the next assignment. And yeah, I read it to you, so you guys have an idea. Any other questions?
I submitted the experimental landscape. I wanted to know if you got it.
Let me check. For the rest of you, you can go.
Okay.
You don't have to say. But Robin, stick around. So
I was just gonna ask if you posted the black and white.
No, I guess I wrote it out, but I haven't posted it to Canvas. So I'll post it tonight.
Okay, cool.
You'll have it tonight. But you have 2 weeks. So not next
Okay.
week, but the week following.
Great. Thank
Okay.
you. See you
Yep.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Robin, stick around real quick, okay?
Bye.
Bye. Yes, it's here. Oh, Robin,
right,
that's
cool.
so dope. That's so dope. We should talk about this next week. Do you mind talking about it next week?
No, not at all.
That's so good. That's the best one. Good job.
I won't tell anybody you said that.
Oh yeah, don't tell them. Yeah, that looks
right.
really great. Thank you for doing that.
Mhm.
Cool.
right.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.